peeling back the layers of the part I've been playing for you. Used to be so easy, now I get queasy when things start going wrong.
I have begun drinking coffee again. I don't know if you guys remember, but I'm still a big tea drinker. I start my day with tea, so I'm not all jittery. When I'm doing my morning journaling, then I'll do whatever my movement is, eat breakfast, then do coffee. That's the ideal. And then I love tea at night, but I started drinking coffee again just because, I don't know, I enjoy it. I enjoy the taste. And if you remember, I stopped because I thought it was affecting my stomach. I used to have serious stomach issues, like sharp stabbing pain every single night, no matter what I ate. I thought it was coffee related, so I cut out coffee. Then I thought it was like soy related because I had tofu a lot, so I cut out all tofu. Dairy, like I didn't have dairy for a while. And now I've started like slowly adding all these things back in, and they're not affecting my stomach, which makes me think and makes me realize one of two things. A, the stomach issues were caused by my drinking for sure, and two, caused by my eating disorder or my restriction when I was younger, because it started when I was like 14 or 15, which was right around when my ED was at its highest. And then I think I just, like I've mentioned, was never fully recovered. So I think for years and years, my stomach was just, I just had digestion and stomach problems because I wasn't feeding myself enough. So now that I'm feeding myself enough, I'm starting to notice that I don't have stomach pain anymore. I got back from Arizona on Saturday. Today's Monday. I don't know if I even told you all I was going to Arizona, but I have some family there. And so we went to their house in Arizona and had a great Thanksgiving. I was so anxious before Thanksgiving dinner. The most anxious I have been for any event in a long time, probably since like college. I just wasn't sure if there was gonna be drinking or how much, and it was my first time spending Thanksgiving with family members outside of my immediate family since like obviously the pandemic and since I got sober, so I just wasn't sure how it was gonna go. It ended up being really fun. But the anticipation was so huge, like the anxiety of the anticipation was so much worse than the actual event, which tends to happen. And I was really happy. We had a study Sunday meeting on Thanksgiving morning, so that was nice to be able to talk out how I was feeling with other people, hear that other people were going through the same thing. And we did it, we made it through. One thing did happen I'll just talk about in case anyone can relate. So the last time I slipped up back in April, I was in an Airbnb with my family. And so in Arizona, I was in an Airbnb with my family and started getting similar feelings of not thinking I was gonna drink, but just like memories and past feelings, just being in that same environment. And I was like looking for a pot, like a pot to boil water for tea. And I opened a cupboard and there was like a 30 rack of Modelo's in this cabinet. And I was like, that's weird. Are those from like other past guests? Whatever. They weren't my family. So I closed the cupboard, started thinking a bit more, and I was like, you know, this is a situation where if I feel anxious or uncomfortable and I know that those beers are there, Although my intention might not be to drink them, who knows? You know? Just like who knew the last time what would happen. So I told a member of my family, can you hide these from me? They did. And then of course, my family was, you know, asking me if I was okay. And I was like, yes, I'm trying, like I'm okay. I just want to make sure I'm okay by not knowing where these are. And then somehow one of the beers rolled or ended up underneath a book on the kitchen counter. Like the book was open and it ended up underneath the cover. And so my family thought it was me who was like hiding it there to drink later. And it actually wasn't. I actually don't know how it got there. And so that was just a really weird situation where people like, I could tell they thought I was lying, but I actually wasn't lying, even though I would have lied about something like that in the past. I feel like, yeah. Anyways, I think now it's better, but.
Used to be so easy.
I'm having some difficulty focusing.
I get
I'm gonna go to my apartment's little lounge, and hopefully that will help me focus.
And in this life, we all know that the starting is the hardest part.
Here we go.
Do you believe me? Or even see me as I fall apart?
In case you're wondering, the cats are still here. I was listening to this Getting Confidential podcast, which I love, but some other stuff you have to really take with a grain of salt and do what's right for you, like with anything, you know, listen with discretion. But one thing that Lauren said in an older podcast episode that I was listening to a couple weeks ago was like, this time of year is the time when a lot of people are resting, so why don't you use it as a time to excel and propel yourself forward? And that was my mentality, I think, for the past few weeks, was like, okay, now's the time. But over these past few days, I'm like, why? Why am I doing that? The holidays are a time to rest for a reason. Like, sure, if you want them to be a time to get ahead for the new year, fine. But I'm noticing that that is not what I need right now. I'm listening to myself and realizing, no, I do need rest. And a self-compassionate person, an intentional self-compassionate person, would allow herself this time to rest. So
But it's hard to leave the ground when you're stuck staring down. I'm just a bustle in the crowd, watching from the sides as you go through life with wonder in your eyes. Wonder how you do it. Try not to lose it, just hold.
Is anyone else just feeling like all over the place? That's how I felt the past 2 days since getting back from my trip. Just very all over the place. Fine 1 minute and then not fine the next. Yeah, emotions are just up and down. Kind of struggling with figuring out what to prioritize with like work and the business, and also like just thinking about all of that and holiday stuff coming up of like prioritizing people, which sounds weird, but it is like something you kind of have to do this time of year because obviously you can't see everyone, and me, and I'm sure many of you especially, who are easily overstimulated and have short social batteries. I'm just a little nervy for this upcoming month. But just gonna make sure, like I mentioned in the last clip, to practice self-compassion and not beating myself up if I can't see certain people, or feeling disappointed in myself, or feeling like I'm letting them down. I think that'll be really important. But I just started this book, Essentialism. I've had it for a while now, and I first heard of this guy and this book on the Skinny Confidential podcast. And then I just listened to his episode this morning with Jay Shetty as well, which inspired me to start reading this. But I think this is gonna help a lot with the feelings I'm having about struggling to know what to prioritize and feeling like I'm really busy during the day, but not necessarily getting a lot of things done. Like I don't feel productive. I just feel like I'm spending too much time on things that maybe don't need that much time being spent on them. So it says, have you ever found yourself stretched too thin? Do you simultaneously feel overworked and underutilized? Are you busy but not productive? Are you often busy but not productive? Do you feel like your time is constantly being hijacked by other people's agendas? I'll let you know what I think. Right after I talked to you last, on my way to my neighbor's apartment, as I was like walking downstairs, I saw this email from PayPal saying I have an invoice or something for $1,099 and it will be debited from my account today. If this wasn't you, like call this number. And it was from PayPal. It was from service@paypal.com. It wasn't like a spoof email. So I clicked on it, called the number, and someone was like trying to walk me through the process, and I was like following all their steps. And then, sorry, Lappy's enjoying his dinner. But then I get to this thing where they're trying to have me download this thing called any file. And I was like, why would PayPal have me download this? And they were like, oh yeah, that's our service. Like we've partnered with PayPal and this is how you're going to stop these invoices from like being requested on your account or whatever. And so they made me give them this code, and then they got to this point where they were like, okay, now tell us your password. And so then I quickly was like, this doesn't make sense. So I quickly searched like any file and PayPal. I think it was called any file. And there was all these Reddit threads about how people got scammed, about how if I had made it like a few more steps, they would have like had access to control my computer. They would have, people were saying that they like made them log into their bank account. So then obviously the people could see, the scammers could see you log in because they have control of your computer. So I just hung up and then realized that it was a scam like later on, but they literally sent it from the PayPal account. I was like, how do you do that? We had a really great meeting last night. It was definitely my high of the week. And something we talked about was starting over and how it's really scary to start over, whether that's leaving a relationship and going back into the dating scene, or, you know, starting over your sobriety journey because maybe you drank or you had a slip up or something. And I agree. I hate change. It's so scary to start over, but it's also beautiful. I love new months and new weeks because I feel like it's just a fresh start for me to try and attempt to do better than the last week. And when I say do better, I don't mean in terms of like work effort or workload or whatever, or work output. I just mean do better in taking care of myself and recognizing what was harming my mental health and my physical health last week, and how can I do better this week? How can I do better this new month, this new year? And knowing and trusting that although starting over is scary, most of the time you're not starting over from square one. Like I know when you leave a relationship, for example, and you're starting over into the dating pool and it's really overwhelming. Maybe when you first started that past relationship, you were right here, but you learned so much in that relationship. And now when you move on to new relationships and get back in the dating scene, you're up here because you've had all this growth and you've learned so much from that relationship. Same with drinking. When you slip up, you're not starting from the same point as before, as like the beginning of when you started this journey. You're starting from a bit higher. because you've learned so much along the way. You've learned what maybe triggered that slip up, what not to do next time. My thoughts are all over the place. Also, I was thinking about doing Vlogmas just because I've watched Vlogmases since I was, I don't even know, like 12 years old. And I've always thought about doing Vlogmas. I used to pretend I was doing Vlogmas before I even had a YouTube channel. And so I was like, oh, maybe this is the year I can like live that dream just for old time's sake. But the more I thought about it, I was like, I'm already so overwhelmed, and the thought of uploading a video every single day seems too much. It's just too much for my mental state right now. So I will try and vlog every day, but I'm just going to upload weekly vlogs like I kind of have been doing. I know I've been kind of inconsistent, but every Wednesday I'm gonna try and upload a weekly vlog from December so that it's kind of Vlogmas without the pressure.